won't be discouraged. I'm determined, you see, to respond. Now I'm gonna cross so many things that to block me. But I made up my mind, oh, not to stand up, will stop me. This life is nothing but a test, and I made a success. And there's just no limit to all the great things I can do. I see my possibility. Just hope something found in here in me. Nothing but dreams I'm ahead of me. I'm looking for the job straight to the hell on the back over my mind. On the vision of my destiny. And it keeps me on striving. Because I know what this I need. It's so much more than I can see. It's so much that I can become. That's why I'm reaching for the sun. I see my possibility. Just hope something under here in me. Nothing but green like the head of me. I'm looking for the job track to the head of the back.
الحمد لله رب العالمين وبسم الله الرحمن الرحيم واشهد ان لا اله الا الله وحده لا شريك له ونشهد ان سيدنا محمدا عبده ورسوله صلى الله عليه وسلم وعلى اله وصحبه اجمعين. Brothers and sisters, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh.
Alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
I got to pop you over. My bad. I thought I had them all clipped. Alhamdulillah. What you smiling about? What's you like?
It has been an amazing day.
Canary. What's going on with that?
An amazing, overwhelming day of.
I got double talk. Is your speaker on?
No, mine is off. The echo's coming from your side. Did you mute your actual computer?
Mine is off. The echo's coming from your side.
Because it's like a delay.
Okay, so I know you can hear me on Blog Talk.
Mm-hmm.
All right, well let's just roll with it. It is what it is. So no echo. Any more echo? No echo.
There's an echo on Blog Talk, but it's like a delay.
There's a delay, yeah.
Other than that,
there's a delay. Let me reload this page. Hold on. Let me just reload.
No
the page
worries.
because none of my speakers are on. So I hope they don't decide to just mess with us today. Okay, my mic is on, my phone is on.
Is that better?
Seriously, delay. No, it doesn't feel like it. Talk to me.
Assalamu alaikum. It's like a whole 30-second delay.
Wow, I think it's their technology. I don't think it's us. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So, I, oh God.
Let me try something else. Let me see something real quick.
Okay, well, I don't know how to fix that. Once you hang up, why you hang up on Blog Talk and call back.
Okay.
Hang up on Blog Talk and come back.
Okay.
All right, everybody. Thank you for your patience. We're gonna get it worked out. Inshallah, with Allah's help, it is possible. Let me. Oh, wait a minute. I got my WMW folks mic open. That's probably the problem on me. So I had a mic open.
Okay. How are we doing now? How are we now?
Feels perfect. So my
Yeah,
bad.
nothing happened. We're good. I didn't hear echo.
Yeah, because I had someone's mic open and they didn't ask for it, so it's on me. I know
Oh,
you hear me, and you know I love you. And see, you know what I'm saying. I'm trying not to shout you out, but I think I already did. Somebody who understands the symbolism of the communication. But since we're here together now, like James Brown say, now we together. Let's go. That's that
now
famous
we're together.
famous live at the Apollo album. Man, that's
Yeah.
stuff. Now, as I was saying, what you smiling about? That's what I.
Today has been an abundance of gratitude, like nonstop, overwhelming pouring of remembrance. And when I have moments like that, I literally have to sit in it, write it down, because I want to duplicate it as much as
Yeah, yeah,
possible.
yeah, yeah.
Um, and
Mm-hmm.
so I know that for me, putting into practice, there are little keys that we always get in the Quran about those who are grateful,
Yeah.
this will happen, right? Those who are charitable,
Right.
this is, so it's like, okay, let me see if that do what it say it do, right? So you
Yeah,
start
yeah,
to
yeah, yeah.
create these rituals of those moments, and it's like anything else, you stack it up, and then it becomes this overflow, right? So it's like
Mm-hmm.
it's happening in real time. So I think today was one of those overflow
Yeah.
days, and
Alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah.
I'll talk about it. I was kind of saving the conversation for when I'm up to bat, because it
Yeah,
definitely ties in, no surprise, to the recording that you shared today too. So,
yeah,
yeah, it's
yeah.
beautiful. Like
Alhamdulillah,
life is
alhamdulillah.
good, alhamdulillah.
All right, alhamdulillah. So, along with your presentation, uh,
Hmm.
don't conclude without just doing a little blurb on uh, women of worship.
Oh,
Women of worship.
absolutely. Hmm.
Yeah. So,
Hmm.
so, so hit that a little
Yeah,
bit before you conclude your portion. Okay.
I will. I will. Thank you.
All right. It's all yours.
All
Assalamu
right.
alaikum wa rahmatullahi
Thank
wa
you.
barakatuh.
عليكم السلام ورحمة الله. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وأشهد أن محمد رسول الله. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh to our listeners on Blog Talk, as well as those who are with us live via Facebook and YouTube. Today is a day of gratitude, of being thankful, right? For me. And I wanted to share this moment because it is something that when we talk about wealth creation, the conversations that we have been having within the community and even here, expanding our idea of wealth, being wealthy. One of my coaches called wealth WELLTH, like being well in all areas of our lives. and that is the wealth. And so I had a beautifully unique experience today. My morning started off right on the mark. My mother is a part of my classes. And I was like, Mom, you don't have to, you got access to me. But she was seeking a formal experience, right? Um, because she gets my emails and she is the pinnacle of the best cheerleader you will ever have on your team, right? My dad can attest to that. And so she was like, no, I am coming in here as Yolanda, be a part of the experience, right? And there were parts of me that was a little nervous, right? Because it's a very intimate exchange as far as the things that we talk about within the group and being clear about the goals that we're seeking to make happen. So I recognize, I then took that back to myself just as a parent. And so today was just this idea of family, family as this abundance of wealth, right? The gardening. And I always say that, like, even connected with, I always say that I am a student of my child. Like, though I'm a parent, like, I learn from my son every day. I'm learning about myself by his existence being my teacher, right? And so to also be in that position along with my mom, it is one of those moments, and we've been having a conversation just about our community, that how do we nurture the next generation of leaders, of creators, of entrepreneurs, of husbands and wives, of educators, of scholars. Just how do we nurture that, right? And there was a journey in the growth process where we're just like, okay, am I gardening right? Am I nurturing this harvest right? And then you get an opportunity to see, oh, what I have nurtured is now bearing fruit that I can benefit from. So when I say that, I look at, just using it as an example, looking at my son, like, he is a tree that I benefit from intellectually, creatively, observing him as a husband, observing him as an entrepreneur, all of these things, right? That I'm learning in that moment. But I know that I planted this to be a contribution to the world, right? And so now not only does the world get to benefit from his existence, but I also get to benefit from this existence, his existence. So I had that experience today with my mom. And I always tell people that I've known my mother all my life, but I met Yolanda when I turned 40. And so it's like, these are, the title of a mother is a very different experience than me meeting Yolanda. So so same thing with my dad. Like, I've known my dad all my life, but I met Fahim, and I occasionally meet Jeannie every once in a while, but I've met more of Fahim in my 40s. And I get little stories of Jeannie here and there at special family events when we get them to crack open a little bit, open up Pandora's box, right? And it humanizes our parental experience, that allows us to recognize that we're a part of the journey of our parents, right? And to recognize how they have invested the best of what they had in us in order to evolve the next part. So, of course, the recording you mentions this cathedral, right? They laid the foundation of what it is that they had in the early stages of this, and now from there, our children and their grandchildren will be the evolution of this cathedral mind, this intellect, right? If you haven't tapped into the Juma, please tap into Juma when he explains what the intellect is, right? It's not just, it is, for lack of a better term, for me, there's an expansion of this energetic experience that is the intellect, right? It's not just the way I feel about this or that. It's a system, right? So we're a part of that system and continuing that system with Allah's help. So I want to share the story just to better etch in this ideal of being the teacher. Like I encourage, if I was to ever do parenting again, which, it's not physically possible, but I have my nieces and nephews, that to really hone in and learn, like by truly observing. When I sit and observe my niece, who's the youngest, the newest baby, who's like 1 years old, I really observe her. When I'm with a 7-year-old, I really observe them because they are teaching me in that moment. And I'm like, what is it that I need to tap? Because they're closer to the remembering than I am as an adult. Because I get the distractions of the hustle, got to go to work, got to do this, da, da, da. They're more connected to their nature that early in the stages than we are as adults. So how do we uh, protect and preserve how close they are to their nature and expand it, right? So here's this story. And I always I hang on. This is like the story that I always keep in my back pocket whenever anyone wants to talk to me about my experience of parenting. And I may have shared it here, but it's just my favorite story. Can't help it. It keeps me grounded and remembering. When my son got married, we did his, putting up air quotes, his bachelor party, right? My son is a true introvert, more so than his mom. And my friend was in town, and we were getting ready for his wedding the next day. We was like, okay, we gonna bachelor party it. He just with his mama and his mom best friend. It's just what it is. And so we got his clothes and then his tuxedo and stuff. And so we was like, let's try this on, because we got his jacket tailored. And there was these little jewels that were in the tuxedo case, in the tuxedo kit that we had got. And for the life of us, we did not know what to do with these, right? And so we tried to put it in the buttonholes. We tried to see if it goes with the collar. At no point in time, which is so strange, at no point in time did we go, let's Google. Like, nothing in our brain said, Google what we're supposed to do with these little knobs that we're looking at. Nothing. We just went to work with trying to figure this thing out, right? And so we finally realized it's the cufflinks. They're cufflinks. And then that was another layer of, okay, well, how do we put it? Kept slipping through the hole, wasn't latching on properly. We just weren't getting it. But we spent about 30 minutes trying to figure this out. Then once we finally got it attached, we both just started crying. Now, my son has no problem with being emoting, right? So we both started crying. And I just cried, and I understood what the lesson was. And I said to him, I said, I know, because I raised my son after I got divorced. He was with me pretty much all the time. And I said, I know you would have wanted, to have your dad present at this moment and at this time. And I know that this is an experience that you would want to share. And I said, but we did it. We did the best we could with what we had. And we here, right? And it reminded me that, even through it all, how Allah is so involved in the journey. And the journey has to happen a particular way in order for us to understand what we're doing, right? And it is one of those, it was a very much so, like I live by, and I unfold different new pieces of the story of Hagar as a result of my life. It's just something that, a lot always brings back to my attention, that I consistently study this idea. And the idea is, we pray and we strive and we do what we can to establish community, right? Because that experience, the physical, when I talk the physical experience of Hagar is one thing, right? But we have been having conversations about going beyond what the physical body, the literal concrete experience is. What is the abstract meaning and experience that is happening here? And in this abstract experience, there is a patience, perseverance, and prayer, right? That is happening in order to establish a life of worship, establish an environment that gives all praise and glory to Allah in all things that we do, right? That are preserving of creation and the nurturing and the loving of creation is a very important role in ensuring the preservation of community, the expansion of community life, right? And so when we think about what we have to offer and how we learn from the experience, we have to go back to the origin of what is it that we are created to give, and what have we created to give to the world that reminds us to give honor and praise and gratitude and worship to Allah in the things that we do. So the business, the education, the good word, picking up the litter, you are showing up in gratitude for the things, right? Your life. So I remember, just in this journey of understanding gratitude, I feel obligated, and I want to offer this as a suggestion. You can do what you want to, but I'm saying just try this as a suggestion. They have this term right now in the cultural sense. They say, give them their flowers now, right? Give them their flowers now. I myself and my other sister, her name is Fahima. We always say, wash their bodies now. Not Let's not wait until after we wash them, and we wash them with the good words and the gratitude, right? I am showering you with the emotional and the present gratitude of saying, you did the best you could with what you had, and what you gave me was enough because Allah said that was enough. And as a result of that, you have nurtured me enough so that I can now establish myself in this earth and carry on and give life to new fruits that will nurture an entire and nurture the humanity, right? So when I say that, it's like there is someone or an experience, it doesn't have to be this ongoing thing, right? But that moment, to be present in the moment, that Allah utilizes a vessel to bring you a message that is clear to you to say, yes, continue on, my servant, right? That we show a level of gratitude for that. Because to ignore the messenger, the person who is bringing you the message that will enhance your life, make your life better, stronger. And I'm saying the ones that are directly in front of you, meaning your parents, your family members, your siblings, or whomever, and the community that is a resource to you. The sooner you do that, the sooner you can reap the benefits of the garden that you are seeking to build, right? The garden of self and the garden that's within the garden of the community. I know that when I bring information about anything that I'm doing, I have a community that's like, okay, Camila, how can we support this? What do you need from us? How can we get the word out? Because it's a community that nurtures the garden inside of the garden. But if I'm not nurturing a garden that's producing fruit to be of service to humanity, I'm not showing up in the fullness and the beauty and the magnificence of what it is that Allah has given me as a possibility to be of service. When I don't show up as Khalifa, as an authority for what it is that Allah has said is for me, I am doing a disservice to myself as well as the outer community. And I'm also doing a disservice by not nurturing the other gardens that are surrounding me. But I cannot do that if I am not first establishing my garden enough to create the harvest. What is that folk tale? What is that story? The stone soup of it all, right? That everyone has something to contribute and it creates a feast, right? But if I'm just there and at no point in time have I identified, am I the potatoes? Am I the carrots? Are they the celery? This person has the eggs. Like, if no one is showing up with nothing, you're just kind of waiting there to eat off of someone else without being grateful for, wow, we also have someone that has potatoes. This is awesome. Wait, sister so and so has carrots. Amazing. Wait, this brother is an iron worker, can make a pot. Like, there's, if we're not showing up in the fullness of what Allah has given us to bring to this earth, but we're trying to fit into the machine of this society. I don't even want to call it the world, because everything in the world has a role. The bee has a role, the ant has a role, the plants have a role, the ocean, the river, everyone has a role. This society takes the nature away from us. And as a result of the society stealing our nature, they create artificial intelligence, right? Something that is not human. It does not have a soul. It does not have a spirit, right? It is literally made up to serve their machine, right? So the closer that we get to our nature, and when I recognize, it's like, I can't make a meal with just my potatoes. I want to make a meal with everyone. We see the reality of that during Ramadan, when everyone brings a dish. Everyone doesn't bring one type of food, right? Someone will bring the rice, someone will bring the vegetables, someone will bring the protein, someone will bring the beverages, someone will bring the desserts. And that's what makes it a complete meal. The rice by itself is not a complete meal, but I depend on what everyone else is bringing, the best of what they have access to. And as a result, an entire community is fed. This one bowl of rice stretches because now it is a part of an entire spread that feeds an entire community. So now let's take that to a more abstract part of it, right? What are you bringing to the world that everyone can benefit from in order to establish a life, a community that goes beyond this existence? What is that thing? Are you an artist? Are you a writer? Are you an architect? Are you an excellent educator? And you spend time mastering that gift. You master it. You spend time sharpening that craft, figuring out the tools that, how do I make this easily accessible to the community? Because when I do that, whatever they're learning from me, maybe now this information will help them to publish the book, or maybe this information will inspire a song or a poem. Maybe this inspiration will get them to create a piece of art that moves the people. Maybe this inspiration will get a sister to create a fashion line of clothing that's inspired by me bringing the fullness of who I am. So let's spend the time to do that. Let's not be a little piece in the machine that does not serve the highest parts of ourselves, that does not serve our nature, our human nature. Let us not choose to live a life of artificial intelligence, but to tap into the beautiful and expansive intelligence that Allah has blessed us with, because that is what will carry on beyond this physical body that is existing here and now in this life. So I'm gonna close it with that, and what the Imam had mentioned before, and what I'll do is I will put the link in here. I do every second Sunday in the evening. I gather with the Bilalian Muslim women, and we have a conversation about the Quran. We create practical ways of applying the Quran in order to build a relationship and conversation that allows us to function at our fullest potential, and to not be intimidated by this beautiful scripture, but to embrace it as a tool for our highest good, for us to do the best, and live the best life, for us to recognize that this journey is not about a life that hurts us, but for it to be a life that encourages and grows us, right? That this is a space that, in many times, we are not allowed a space to fully expand and speak of our experience as Bilalian Muslim women. We usually have to shrink ourselves in other environments because culturally we have been erased from the narrative of Islamic history. And we are now in a season and a time where Bilalian Muslim women are like, hold on, you are here only because of how we stepped to the plate to say we will create our own looks, we will create our own educational systems, we will be the women who will stand on the front lines and do the work, and so as a result we have to reclaim our place in Islamic history in America, and understand that the Quran speaks very directly and personally to us individually. And how do we create a like-mind community to have those conversations? So that's Women of Worship. We do every second Sunday. I will drop the link so that the Imam can share it, and you can join our mailing list. And we do this every second Sunday. So our first one happened in January. We'll be doing it again in February, and I'm contemplating doing it once a week during Ramadan. I'll know once I see what the capacity of my time looks like. But yeah, so once again, thank you guys for this time and space, and I'll call the Imam back in.
And we're back.
And we're back.
Correct. All right, good. Alhamdulillah, thank you so much. No, I hadn't heard the cufflink story, so that was new.
Oh,
I
you
mean,
had
it's
it.
like,
Oh, yeah.
yeah. There was a little tear floating around in the dust.
Yeah,
about to pop out. Yeah, I get it, man. I get it, right?
Yeah,
So,
man.
alhamdulillah, that
alhamdulillah.
father thing is a serious thing, right? So
Yeah,
alhamdulillah,
yeah,
father and mother and son too as well. And of course, we could go on and on and on, but we're not going to do that. So alhamdulillah,
to the break of dawn.
it's good. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, we'll have our private conversation after.
Okay.
Thank you so
No
very
problem.
much. All right, let's go. What we're going to do is we're gonna move on. Let me go ahead and share right off the bat so we can maximize our time utilization. And let's close this out. See, every time I don't pay attention and I start messing up. Let's see here. I am screen share was canceled. Okay, share screen. Window. Okay, they put a new look on me, so I thought I missed the boat. But now I got it. All right, let's go. So alhamdulillah, the subject matter is Subject matter is reconciling the abstract and the concrete for wealth creation. Brothers and sisters, understand this. When I come to this, especially this broadcast, this platform, I am literally talking about wealth creation, right? I'm literally talking about wealth creation. When I say that, I mean, how do you create wealth? And wealth, again, wealth is a multiplicity of things. Wealth is not just currency or precious metals or crypto. Or wealth is something new and valuable, and it can be old and valuable, but particularly something that is coming out of your innate potential. Because this has been my drive from before Nation of Islam. My drive has been that, look, I know we all have a potential. I know we all have an excellence. This is, mashallah, this is no boast, but this was before. It was only when I found the Nation of Islam and what the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, by the grace of Allah, that I was able to put some flesh on those bones and give some body for that spirit. And then, of course, it was amplified with Imam Muhammad. And even, mashallah, after Imam Muhammad's passing, as Camila was saying, I'm a quote unquote, I'm a child of Imam. I don't go all the way over. He said I'm like a son to him. He said to a lot of people. Okay, good. So I'm taking mine this way. And so the fruit that we are bearing, if it's of any value and any nourishment to you in the ways that we can, and it does nourish you, it's because of fruit that's being born from seeds planted by Imam Warthadi Muhammad. So what I'm saying is that the movement of that potential in me for stimulation of the potential of others, which is what Haja was talking about, then I'm in heaven, quote unquote. I'm in heaven. I am doing what I believe that I was created for. So the only struggle that I have oftentimes is okay, is this too much too fast? Is this too much? Do you have the fundamental background, or don't you have fundamental? Are they getting it? Are they not getting it? Is it going over too many people's heads? So I'm always asking myself that question out of respect for what I'm trying to do and out of respect for you, because if you don't get anything out of what I'm saying, then it therefore is a waste of time. And we don't want to do that. Now, this is one of the prime plates that we did last week. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time here. There's places that I want to go, but I need to always reconnect with what came before last week in our presentation, so that those of you who are really riding with us, you can get connected and say, okay, yeah, we talked about that last week. And especially if you take notes, you say, okay, then you can reinforce some of your notes, and then we can go to the next page, literally. But we're just going to cover this right. This is an ontology. Look it up. This is an ontology, an Islamic ontology. It is saying this is an abstraction of what the world of the reality that we live in, the present reality, not just the world, the present reality that we exist in. This is a model of that. And it also, with us as Khalifa, the original human soul, and as an origin and as a destiny, both of those things, the original human soul is origin, and the original human soul is also destiny. At the destiny, it's identified as Khalifa. At the origin, it's identified as nafsun wahida. But it's the evolution, just like Abraham is the full evolution and expression of Adam. Likewise, Khalifa is the full evolution and expression of nafsun wahida. So the point here is to know what reality is. Don't just take that word as just reality. The reality of it is this. In reality, when we say reality in this platform on this subject, we mean haqq. We mean haqq. We mean the reality as Allah created it, the reality that transcends what you physically sense, what is palpable, what is sensible to you, meaning that you can get it, you can feel it. That we're talking about beyond that. We're talking about that place that Abraham went after he transcended star, moon, sun, and the what's behind it all, which is the foundation for it all. That's what we're talking about. And ever so quickly, you look at these numbers. Number one, there's Allah. Number two, there's Allah's will. Number three, there's everything that by Allah's will He has created, right? Number four, there's the laws that governs everything that Allah has created. And everything that you see in creation is an active manifestation of the will of Allah for creation. The bee is doing what the bee is doing because that's what Allah, by His will, intended for it to do, right? The wind is doing, the clouds are doing, the sun is doing, the moon is doing, the stars are doing, the seasons are doing, etc. Everything is doing according to Allah's will. Everything you see in creation is, I'm talking about the natural creation, is the will of Allah. And there's a sideline conversation there for other things that would naturally come to mind, but I don't want to get sidetracked. And so there, number four, there's the law for all creation that I just spoke of. And then out of that and above that and upon all of that is Khalifa, the original human soul. That everything that I've talked about, everything that came before, when Allah has prescribed a matter, when Allah has decreed a matter, qada. When Allah has decreed a matter, He simply says to it, be, and it is. Kun fayakun. And so everything that Allah intended to come into existence is a one word, and everything starts rolling out the way that He intended. Kun, and that was it. So what we're looking at here is, okay, what's the layout? What's the unfolding? And what's the relationship between all of these elements in the existence that we are in right now? And I'm saying that's what the ontology is, and that's what that map is. And obviously there's details for all of it, but that's why it's called an abstract. You've heard us define abstract as truth without details. Everything you're looking at on Allahu Alam, everything you're looking at, that's the truth. That's the truth. That paragraph, that's the truth. That image, that's the truth. It's an abstraction of it. Now, when it comes to the human being, so now we're here. We are the original soul in process of reaching Khalifa. So we're somewhere in between. You and I, we're somewhere between Nafsun Wahida and Khalifa. That's where we are in all of our journey. And please know this, brother and sister, the favor that God has done to us and done for us is that if you are living in space and time right now, and you have said, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah, you have been favored. In kuntum sadiqeen. If you are true and sincere to that, you have a universe of favor. I'm saying you have, that's the only way I said it. There may be some greater poetic words for saying, but the point is that you are blessed. You are universally blessed. Maybe that's the way I said it. Really, because when Allah says, وَأَكْثَرُهُمْ لَا يَعْلَمُونَ, most of them don't understand. But if you understand that, you are among the few in the total existence of humanity from throughout the channel and time of history. If you understand it, you are among the few that have ever existed. Because most people don't understand it. And that's always true from the time Allah revealed it and from the time before it was revealed. Because many go about in the world unmindful. Okay, so much for that. So here we are. Just start from the position of I'm standing on the earth. I have a brain. I have a mind. I have this consciousness. I have this free will. And I recognize that there is a Lord, cherisher, and sustainer of the world. I'm here. Okay, now what's my next task? What's my next task? All right. In this journey called life, in that particular representation of it, the task is to gain more knowledge of the laws and the patterns and the regularities in nature. Learn that. That's Abraham. That's the picture that God gave us of Abraham, right? The star, the moon, the sun, etc. That, yes, is his move towards Tawheed. It's his move towards the acknowledgement of the oneness of God, transcendent of all material, no idols or any. that he represents that primordial sacred journey fulfilled. Abraham, as Quran said, and he fulfilled all of his obligations. What that means, as well as other things, is that you and I, what is our way of life called? Deen, right? It's called deen. What is it rooted in? Obligation, debt. You have a debt. So we're born with a debt to Allah, because we are nothing without Allah. If he brought us into existence, we owe him. Period, right? We owe him. And so Abraham fulfilled all his obligations. All right. Fulfilling all of his obligations means he realized what Allah had created him in and for. All right. And so therefore, and God says, he's your model, he's your example, and whoever attains the station of Abraham has indeed attained security. So he's the goal, he's the objective, he's the model in that totality. And Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, just in case someone's thinking, well, what about the Prophet? MashaAllah, I understand what the Prophet said. In his Isra wa Mi'raj, he saw Abraham. And he told the companions of the people gathered for his words, he said, anybody who wants to see Abraham, look at your brother. That's what the Prophet said. Anybody wants to say, you want to know what Abraham looked like? Well, look at me. You look at me, now you're seeing Abraham. That's the Prophet, right? So when we say, excuse me, when we say that Abraham is that objective, it's not, see, if you don't think about them in a material perspective, then it's easy. It can be, by the grace of Allah, it's easy, because Abraham is a type. Abraham is an abstraction. All of these personalities are qualities, attributes, capabilities, layers of potential that we traverse in our growth and evolution. And Abraham fulfilled all his obligations. Abraham fulfilled level 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and he's the 7th. And yes, Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he's 8th. How it is to be applied in the world. Okay, I'm sorry, mashallah. I have to take into consideration, because if you leave out one thing with some of us that, but the Imam said this and that, I get it. So that's the only reason I kind of take that time, because some people, they hit you like, yeah, but you don't know this part. Okay, all right. I'm sorry. I just gotta bring that up, because that's who we are, and I don't want you to miss it. Let me go and say this. Understand about epistemology. Is another word that you have to own this word, because you are using it in the way that you think and act, even though you don't know it, even if you don't know it, right? But I want you to know it. Epistemology means what constitutes knowledge. Working definition, what constitutes knowledge, and particularly what constitutes knowledge for the individual knower, Knower, right? So there are people who say, I don't listen to W.D. Muhammad. I don't listen to W.D. Muhammad. Why? Because their epistemology says that's not knowledge. So therefore, epistemologically speaking, they reject Imam Muhammad's interpretations, expressions, etc., etc. Why? Because they have an epistemology that doesn't include what Imam Muhammad shares as knowledge, as that's not knowledge in their epistemology. Okay, the point is, what you get and what you gain as knowledge has everything to do with your epistemology, right? So if your epistemology includes Imam Wahid Muhammad, mashallah, then you take what he says as knowledge, right? And functionally speaking, and from a utility, I don't mean this philosophically, but from a utilitarian perspective, from a perspective of useful knowledge, you take from what Imam Muhammad has given, and then you apply it as given, and then when you see the results from what he is, yeah, that is knowledge. Because I took this that he said and I applied it to this as he said it, and this came as a product of that. So what he's given is knowledge, right? So sometimes I speak and take time like this because I don't even want people, I especially don't want people. You've been blessed to come into the womb of the language and knowledge and insights of Imam Wardi Muhammad, uh, but you can get stuck, meaning you've grown, but there's further to go. There's further to go. And if you don't know how to trust, and if you don't know how to find support, if you don't have the supports for a student of his that brings you knowledge that is an elaboration, an application of the logic that he's given, then you're going to miss some knowledge because, man, I never heard Imam say that. Yeah, well, maybe I'm saying something that the Imam didn't say explicitly, but I'm saying something that you follow the logic and the practice that he gave you to follow. You're supposed to be walking. You're supposed to keep moving. Did you stop moving in 2008? Did you stop moving or did you keep stepping? You're supposed to keep stepping. And if you keep stepping, as he taught us, right? He said, you look at the Egyptian hieroglyphs, you see these figures, these special figures. He said, you see one with one leg down and one leg up. You see these characters, these major characters. One leg down, one leg up. The Imam said, that what does that represent? That's progress and movement made through insight, one foot, application, the next foot. So you can get the insight, but if you don't know how to apply it, you're not going to make any progress. I think I've said enough for as far as that's concerned. So the point is, this is how we are to use that. This is our place in the you're alive, you're standing up, you got a brain, you're thinking, you're serving God, you're trying to make progress, you're active in the world, etc. Okay, well, you're at the point where the highest of things that you can do is to acquire the knowledge of the laws, of the patterns, of the regularities in nature, and that will give you the science to put you in a position to make predictions about what is possible, to envision what's possible, and then abstract and utilize the means whereby you can reach that possibility. Okay, once you have the knowledge, you can't do it in the best way without quote unquote science. And that's what God gave Abraham. And that's the most powerful, wealthiest people in the world right now are people who have this knowledge. Just all you got to do is look, okay, wealthiest people in the world, and go somewhere where they're having a conversation. And even more specifically, go to a place where they're having a conversation where you just a fly on the wall at the place where they're doing the production. And if you can hang with the conversation that they're having, then you know that language. But most times, if what I'm pointing to is like, it would be like they're speaking a foreign language, period, right? I'm not even going to give any examples, but just go look at it. Maybe I can give a short one. For example, just look up, say, how are the Avatar characters? I'm talking about the movie. How are the Avatar characters rendered? I'm talking about that movie. How are those? Just look up that. How are they rendered, right? And then when you get and understand it, mashallah, it probably takes a very long time to understand it, but it's enough for you to see it. It takes all that just for that little bit of it. Not talking about 3 hours. You're just talking about that one action of this character requires this much computer code, right? And that's intelligence, right? Let me hit you with just one more thing, perhaps. Open AI, Chat GPT, all these words, right? The other thing is, I'm saying this, you've heard the language technology gap. Technology gap. What is the technology gap? The technology gaps don't go over and thinking about third world people who just can't get clean water and all. Yeah, they're in the technology gap. No, you and I are in the or a technology gap. What is the technology gap? It is the distance between the technology in use and the technology available. The technology in use, meaning that the technology that you're using, Okay, you're using a computer, you're using the iPhone. Of course, you got to ask, how much of it are you really using, right? But nevertheless, so you have that technology of that's in use. Okay, but now, what's the technology that's out there? What is the technology? I mean, what is the technology that's out there? And what's the distance between what you know and are utilizing of technology and the level of technology that's out there? That's the gap. That's the technology gap. So the idea is the wealth that's being created are the people who have narrowed the technology gap more so than others. And so when this fundamental thing that I'm speaking of, that is how we make progress, you have to get more knowledge of the laws and the patterns and the regularities in nature. And that is the science that makes prediction possible and enables man to serve Allah and humanity better. Intellect, intelligence, science in service to Allah's will. That is the way to wealth. Knowledge flows from those who don't know to those who do know. Money, I should say also, and that's what I really meant. Money flows from those who don't know to those who do know, because whatever you don't know how to do for yourself, somebody else will do it for you, but they'll charge you. And so you're paying for what you don't know. But the more you know, then the more you become useful to people through what you know. And this is a part of what the prophet's saying, that surely the best among you is the one who is most useful to humanity, right? So you have to, as Hajj was talking about, what use are you? What are you good at, and what are you good for? To work with that. Work with that. To find your potential gift to serve humanity, and that Allah has given you as a vehicle for your own sustenance. Ask and answer the question, what are you good at, and what are you good for? Answer that question, and then get the science of that, and you're on your way to wealth creation personally. Okay? So many beautiful stories. One day, mashallah, inshallah, we have a chance to elaborate on it much. I think that day is actually coming up. Let me say this to you also. Talking about, I made a rhetorical statement and asked a rhetorical question. I said, well, did you stop walking in 2008? And most of you know that I'm referring to the year that Imam Muhammad rahimahullah passed away, right? He passed away in 2008. Did you stop? Did you stop? He was telling us in years before that, we cannot stop now. And when he passed away, it's still true, even more so. We cannot stop now, right? So that means that when he said, and the Imam talked about, there's a very fond phrase that many Muslims use, but we have to not let it be a cliche. You have to let it have substance by understanding and application. And that is when the Imam said, you have to have the courage to follow the logic to its conclusion. You have to have the courage to follow. Why does it take courage to follow the logic to its conclusion? Because you have to believe in the logic, knowing that you don't have the result and you have no promise that it's actually going to turn out the way that you are, quote unquote, hoping, but you can't stop because you're not sure. This is the meaning of yu'minuna bil ghayb. The Muslims believe in the unseen. Abraham, again, he's such a model for this. It's like, okay, star, that's God. No. Moon, oh, that's God. No. Sun, that's the biggest one. That's God. No. He had to go past all those forms of light to go to what was dark to him, in the context of, I don't know, but now I have faith, which is also one of the meanings of this blackness and this darkness. Not only does it represent ignorance and the unknown, but it also represents faith. faith. You have to be willing to go into the dark. But the light is based on the faith that you have in the source that gave you the information, right? So you have to trust yourself, trust God, trust your intellect, etc. Trust your intentions. You do that. Now, Imam Muhammad, rahimahullah, here's a statement that he made in Oakland, California. He said, we cannot have all these fine institutions working on building a master race or working on building a master society and leaving the knowledge that Allah intended for all of us in the hands of academia, or leaving the knowledge in the hands of a few intellects. So, dear brothers, so dear beloved believers, we have to appreciate knowledge, appreciate education, and try our best to translate the complicated ideas and theories. This technology gap has everything to do with complicated ideas and theories that are in vogue and in use and that are part of the marketplace right now. And the less you know about it, the more you're in the technology gap, the less you are capable of generating wealth for yourself in the new system, because you don't understand the complicated ideas and theories. The Imam says we have to try our best to translate the complicated ideas and theories into the language of the common person so that they can get the benefit. Is not that what he did for us? Do you understand Imam Muhammad, like Prometheus in that myth, right? He brought knowledge down from on high. That's the mythological side of it, but then that's also the reality of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Imam Muhammad is not a prophet, but Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he received the light and then he came down. And in the biblical Christ, he says that no one is in heaven but who has come down from heaven. And the prophet in his Isra wa Mi'raj, the level 8, Imam explains to us, Abraham's on 7, Prophet Muhammad on 8. 8 was bringing it down and applying it in the world. And that was when the Hijrah took place, or after that time, the Hijrah took place, and the building of Medina to Munawwara came after that, because he had gotten to the height of it and how it's to be applied. Boom. Well, that's what we have to do. So it has to be brought down. So these complicated ideas and theories that are moving and acting in the world right now, somebody has to take it upon themselves to take what is complicated but useful and bring it into the language of the common person. Okay, so I'm saying to you, yes, these are the marching orders that I operate from. So sometimes when things seem to get complicated, trust me, I'm doing the best I can by the grace of Allah and with the help of Allah to uncomplicate it. So, but sometimes the complications of things are said, it just can't be said in any other way, or at least the teacher, in this case, myself. Well, that's the best I can do. So, inshallah, Allah will bless you to get it clear, and I will try to make it uncomplicated. Now, that being said, let me alert you, make you aware, myself and Dr. Abdul Jalil Nuruddin of the great state of North Carolina or South Carolina? I think it's North Carolina. Greensboro. Yeah, y'all know it. And so the both of us, we're doing a collaborative, holistic health and personal power. So weekend workshop that's going to be happening March 18th and 19th. It's going to be an empowerment webinar. And tomorrow we're going to the Eventbrite is going to be going out. But this is just to inform you, because like the things that I'm talking about in the little blurb captions to give you some idea of what I'm going to be talking about. The Quran and metaphysics, the reality of you, reading signs for natural guidance. And please know this, brother and sister, I'm not coming with, I listen to a lot of YouTube, videos about whatever. I'm not going to say anything because some people think I'm throwing shade. No, but don't think that what I'm bringing is an adaptation from whatever. I don't care, YouTube, Facebook, YouTube Shorts, or anything. No. This is, mashallah, by the grace of Allah. This is no boast, but this is like, what can you call it? It's like a cake made from scratch. Let's put it like that. That's what I can say. It's like, no, this is not AI. This is made from scratch. right? By the grace of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So we have that. And of course, Dr. Nuruddin, he's deep on the nutritional deficits, the importance of enzymes, treating the gut, and psychosomatic activity. So it's like it's a 1-2 punch kind of scenario. It's like the physical and the metaphysical. So inshallah, hopefully you get there. All right, so let me see. Okay, we got a couple of minutes. Let me cover something real quick. You've seen this image before. Well, maybe if you've been in touch with us on our broadcast. So let me just run very quickly through this because I want to what let's see. Since the prime conversation is about the abstract and the concrete for wealth creation, and I have about 10 minutes left, and inshallah, Allah will bless us with another time to be together. Let's see. You know what? I'm going to go ahead and jump to a conclusion right now, and I'm just going to spend the time with it. Let's call it 10 minutes or so, and we'll see what we can say. All right. Walk with me. Take this as fresh. You okay? I'm starting all over. It's just like you just came online and we just started. And it's this. In reality, when we quote unquote see something as a possibility, it means that we have become conscious of a particular possibility in the quantum vacuum field. Excuse me. That's what's happening when you truly say to yourself, and it's a felt reality for you, literally. Just think about anything they say, oh, I see that. Okay, well, boom. When you can make that statement and it's genuine for you, then what it means is that you have in that moment become conscious of a particular possibility that's in the quantum vacuum field. I want you can say universe and it's easy, and it's true. You can say universe is easy, it's true. Imam Muhammad, I have many quotes from him, but one of the statements he said, what is the universe if it's not possibility? Ask and answer that question. What is the universe if it's not possibility? The universe is potential. The universe is possibility. Science has established. See what happens when you get past the illusion of the limits of material perspective. Meaning that when you get to the point where you realize and recognize and acknowledge that the palpable, sensible, physical features of this creation are themselves just like an outer expression of something that's deeper and something that's deeper, right? So the point is that what we experience in the world in the material perspective, that is not the foundation and fundamental reality of creation. It's an expression of it. Muhammad Iqbal, he said that the laws of nature, the laws of nature are the garments of creation. The laws of nature are the garments of creation. So what you see in the laws of nature, you see them because they are expressions of something deeper. But let's just move from here. So the point is, when we see it, that is, when we see it as a possibility, what has happened in that moment is that you have conceptualized it. We even use that language. You say something has been conceived. Somebody conceived of this and conceived of that. And we know that when we talk about conception, there's an analogy for it in pregnancy. There's an analogy for it in pregnancy. But understand, every physical thing every physical, especially the natural phenomena, particularly, in fact, maybe that's how I should limit it. Every natural phenomena, which pregnancy is a phenomena, it's a natural phenomena, right? Every natural phenomena is a sign. Every natural phenomena is a sign. Every natural phenomena is holding meaning and truth that Allah has put in it, because a part of the law of the nature of creation, a part of the kun fayakun, is that Allah has put meaning for the substance of humanity and the sustenance of humanity. He has put it in everything. But just like fruit on a tree, you have to pick the fruit from the tree. You have to peel it or crack it or whatever in order to get the nourishment out of it. So it is with everything in creation. The stars, peel it, crack it, get the nourishment out of it. The moon, peel it, crack it, get the nourishment out of it. The sun, peel it, crack it, get the nourishment out of it. Ayah 6, 172. It may not be a 172. I'm just trying to make the point. It's like crack it, peel it, and get the substance out of it. Okay? And the value and the potential of all the things that I'm talking about, the universe is just simply filled with possibilities. I mentioned quantum field, so let me go ahead and mention this because it's a part of the reality. It's a part of the technology gap that I'm inviting us to bridge and cross over and trying to help us bridge and cross over. I have to give you this word, superposition. Superposition, look it up. Quantum vacuum field, there's no fantasy about that. It's bona fide, solid, real, actual, period. That's that. Also, superposition, that's also bona fide, true, real, scientific. And superposition is saying that a thing is not anything in particular until a decision is made about it, until it is somehow measured, etc. You have the measurement problem, different things like that. All I'm saying that for is for us to understand that these realities from a scientific perspective, these realities from the laws that we said you have to learn from creation, you have to understand its laws in order to understand the science, in order to make predictions and all those kinds of things. It's like when you understand that about the nature of creation, the Imam has told us, he said, Quran says that there come a time when the universe is going to be like a scroll that's been put out of business, like a scroll that's been put out of business. And he's telling us that there's going to time, and of course, how long is that going to be? There's going to time when the knowledge in the creation will be exhausted. It will be exhausted. And how does it get exhausted? Understanding, acquisition, knowledge of it, its meaning unveiled, its meaning unfold. How long is that going to be? Right? The universe that we're in, 14 billion years old, according to measure, it's going to be quite a while. But the point to be made in this is that the reality of this superposition is that everything that comes into creation and everything that comes into physical, palpable production in your hand, it started with conceptualization. And when it was conceived by you and I, or anyone standing flat-footed right here on earth, as soon as it was received in that person's consciousness as a possibility, then it particularizes the possibility in the quantum field. All right, that's where it starts. I got Quran, I have Bible for it, but we're not gonna do that right now. Join us on the 18th, 19th, and mashallah, I'm quite certain you'll get some details there. But let's finish this reading that's been in front of you for a minute. So when you see it as a possibility, that means you have conceptualized it, right? When you can say to yourself confidently, oh, I see it. I see that's possible. I can see that can be done. You have started the germination of what you hope to hold in your hand or see before you at some time in the future, you've already started it. You got it started by conceiving and believing it. I know you heard that before, but you need to hear it and understand it from the Quranic directions. Okay, but it's true nevertheless. So seeing it as a possibility means that you have conceived it, right? All right, and in so doing, you have brought about the virtual existence in that vacuum field. I say in and out of it, means like first everything was just like uh, blank, stable in that particular region, whatever it is you're thinking about. It doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter. If you have to say, I want to do X, I want to do Y, what you're trying to do is tap into the possibility that exists in this universe, which is nothing but possibility. But it's nothing in particular until somebody decides on something particular. I don't care whether it's a bicycle or a car or whether it's an airplane or whether it's a bird's nest or a birdhouse or whatever. It's like for as far as our creations, they start mental, right? And so they start mental, but at the same time, because we're connected with, there's no separation. Quran 67, 1-4. There's no separation in anything in the nature of creation. And it's particularly true for us as soul beings, as conscious beings. I conceive here, it takes on a particularity in the reality that the scientific label is quantum field. But the point is, in reality as Allah has created it. And that's where it stays until and as you work towards it, you work for it, you act for it. And what happens is there's a reciprocity, and there's hadith for what I'm talking about now. Hadith Qudsi, what are you talking about now? And tell you which one it is. The one that tells you, it said, when he comes to me walking, I come to him at speed. See, the point is, don't just see those things in concrete ways. Where's God going to move from? Where he comes to me walking, I come to him at speed. Do you have a God that moves? You have a God that moves? No. So you need to get the logic of that. What does that mean? Right? You see, when you find, by Allah's grace and with Allah's help, when you find what it means, now you're eating the fruit. You're that. So that hadith, that's the fruit off the tree. But now you got to crack it open, pull out the meat, and you have to eat it. Right? And you say, oh, I see, I understand. Right? So I'll leave you with it. Everything we got to do, we got to put a comma on it. Now, this screen has been in front of you for a long time, so you need to go ahead and read it for yourself, follow it through. If you have some other questions, feel free to ask at another time. But let me hit you with an Arabic word that might help you also appreciate it. Mufid, mufid, right? So when someone says something is غير mufid, it means that it doesn't make sense or it has no meaning. غير mufid. So what is mufid? Mufid is meaning. It makes sense, right? It has meaning. And so what's in the word? Feed. And actually mu, if you go to Spanish, mu, right? Mu is much food. And when you get the meaning of things, mashallah. So let's go ahead and end this right now. We're gonna check out, put a comment in it, and we'll talk more about it. We're gonna bring Haja back, and we're gonna sign off. Let me hit a couple of notions here. Go ahead, Haja, and then we're going to, let me see where we're at. Okay, I'm going to click through some of these banners that I'm seeing here, acknowledging people.
Oh, okay. Yeah, create the just create the space to develop your relationship with Quran so that you can get the message that is specific to you and your life, and think bigger. Like, we have to just stop limiting ourselves to what's happening here and now in this life, but to really visualize and think bigger about how we create and how we live out this life. So Yeah, so that's the best part I can say with it. I think Iman had a question about how to plug into the event. I put a link in the chat. But what about the
Okay.
link for your event?
Yeah, tomorrow I'll have it. Inshallah, we'll have it tomorrow. I talked
Okay.
to Dr. Nuruddin.
So check his Facebook
And,
page, and he'll post something up. And if you're on our mailing list with ACU, we'll also include it on the ACU Institute newsletter.
all right, alhamdulillah. So yeah, check in on both. So you this is the link right now. I'm getting feedback from I think it's you this time. Uh,
Yep, it's me. I think I fixed it.
all right, okay. All right, good. Finally, I'm innocent of something. Okay. So yeah, so
Yeah.
this is the way y'all can check in on that for with her, and okay, so both events. So Dr. Nuruddin and I, that's going to be coming up tomorrow. You can check with the ACU Institute page. I'm sure that's going to be there,
Mhm.
and if you're on our list, I'm sure it's going to be blasted out, inshallah. And Tarlina, so wonderful to know all is well with you, my dear sister. I was going to hit you
Alhamdulillah.
up, but I'm a shout you out, my sister. Alhamdulillah. I pray everything is moving swiftly for you and yours. Alhamdulillah. Thank you for your kind words always. All right, alhamdulillah. All right, and Georgetta
All right.
doing what she do. And Georgetta, don't give up.
Sister Captain.
Don't give up, girl. You gotta keep hitting them rocks, girl. You gotta keep hitting them. That's it. That's what it is. That's what you signed up for. Come on, you didn't know it, but yeah, we love you. Shout out Georgetta.
Alhamdulillah.
All right, we out, y'all. God's peace,
Yeah.
everybody. Have a wonderful evening. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Alaikum salam wa rahmatullah.